There we go. Um, so Jamie and I have followed up on some of the deliverables for the conference, and we've kind of updated you on those progress. I think Jamie's probably going to jump on here a little bit later on for the LSMX update, but one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that we kind of followed up and closed the loop on some of the things that we talked about on the conference. Some are still outstanding. Some are still being weighed in on by owners, and but we definitely want to keep that momentum going from that. Are there any questions or anything I guess we could do in regards to conference follow-up, or we will in a week or so we'll have a survey regarding the conference. You can kind of weigh in there, but what you liked, what you didn't like. Obviously, we didn't allow ourselves enough time per session, and we had big bold letters on those notes. But anyone want to weigh in on their thoughts? All right. Okay. Let's see here.
Andy, I'm on. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah,
if you want to just go ahead and follow up now with, we'll go into LSMX.
sure. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I got on a little late. My phone decided it wanted to misbehave. So who's on the call this morning?
We have Donald, Ann, Jerry, Ken, and Lee. And there might be another person called in.
Okay, cool. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for coming on today. Happy Halloween. I think it's, of those names, I think everybody on this call, if I heard the names correctly, is kind of on the fence about LSMX, which is actually good, because I'll just touch on a few things related to it, and it might help you move off the fence one way or the other. So just a top level overview here. It's digitally based. It's a digital based system. So that's one of the reasons that we sought it out. So again, kind of high level is that we all see, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a super highly brainiac person to figure out that things are going digital in the world today, and marketing and advertising included. In fact, I heard an ad the other day that sort of stuck with me, because I don't know if you guys recall a time when email started to become popular as a form of advertising, and back in the day, Constant Contact and other things of that ilk didn't exist. And so small businesses started to kind of find their own way with, how do I market with email, and how do I do that efficiently, and et cetera, et cetera. And we were included in that. And so then, as people began to see more and more opportunity around marketing through email, businesses like Constant Contact and other turnkey kinds of solutions started to emerge. So we see a very similar trend towards solutions or tools, applications, if you will, for digital marketing. And mostly what small businesses and people in general struggle with is the mixture, and how to place it, when to place it, and how to do that effectively, efficiently, and all of that when we're not digital experts and not digital marketing experts, for sure. We're retailers, and we want to focus on our teams and building success with our groups, and focusing on our guests, and all of those kinds of things. And so we don't spend 8 hours a day trying to figure out, nor should we, what's just the perfect recipe. And so LSMX will probably, it's sort of, I think, a very strong option and opportunity today as of right now, but I see a time in the future where you'll be hearing ads around, hey, this widget or that widget that helps you place your marketing advertising dollars in digital. And so we just tried to set about finding something that could be a good resource for our owners. Now, some of you may be feeling really good about your marketing and where it is and how your dollars are being allocated and spent, and you may feel that you're getting a good return for the investments that you're making. And so if you feel like you're kind of killing it and you don't need anything new, well then, maybe the LSMX isn't all that appealing because, well, I've sort of got it nailed. But if you don't feel that way, and in particularly in the area of digital, then this could be a good tool for you. Again, that's all it is a tool. It's not some thing that's going to revolutionize your business. It's a tool to help you place dollars in digital advertising. And so with that, you have to invest in it. I mean, I want to be clear about that. It's not, once we have the tool, that's great. It's good to have the tool, and then we can go forward and make investments, but the investments need to be made. So, and they have to be made consistently and over time. Just like any advertising, it takes 5 to 7 impressions for a new customer to even start to really notice that you exist or that you're live. So there's nothing new about that. What's unique about what LSMX is offering us is this identification of what we would refer to as a lookalike customer, meaning that they'll take each store's database and do a very intensive study of your existing customer database, and then create a lookalike database of people that live in your market area that would be highly probable to have interest in your store because they look very, very similar to your existing customers. So that's the real sort of sophisticated part of this. Otherwise, it's nothing more than a very cool kind of convenient tool for you to select different buckets and get advertising placed quickly and effectively and efficiently. So I want to make sure all of those aspects of this are clearly understood. And then there have been a few questions that have come up from owners that are on the fence, which again is completely fine. And our job and our role is to try to bring new things in front of you and innovations that can help you. And in this case, that's what we've done. And we're happy to sort of continue to try to answer your questions and provide additional information for you to make an informed decision about whether or not you want to proceed. So one of the things that's been requested is references, and I've asked Nolan O'Connor from Buxton/LSMX for that. I spoke with him yesterday, and he's working on it. One of the things that he mentioned is I don't want 10 franchise owners calling whoever I give in terms of a reference. So we need to have a single point of contact, or it needs to be managed in such a way that it's not overwhelming to whoever that person or people may be. So it doesn't get to be just a carte blanche, sure, call anybody you want all the time at any point in time, because that's just sort of disruptive in his view. So he's going to work on providing us some references and some sort of protocol that allows that to be somewhat controlled, but give you guys what you want, which is just to talk to some people who've used the system. The other thing that he points out is that you have to consider who you're talking to. And again, all of the things that I mentioned earlier on with regard to how often has it been used, what are the investments that have been made, how effective were the offers that were used, what was the content of the offers, right? So there's all these sort of aspects related to how successful or not the system is or could be pursuant to kind of all of those factors, i.e. somebody that's using it consistently and making a nice spend but has crummy materials and crummy offers, well, then they might not be getting a good response. And so there's all these sort of caveats that you have to keep in mind if you want to give it a fair assessment. But nevertheless, we're working on the references for you, and we'll provide those out as soon as possible. Other questions that have come up related to this are details related to the graphics, and the compatibility of those. And Nolan sent me recently, within the past couple of days, a bit of a summary related to that. So we'll just publish that out. I'll get it to Andy, and he'll just publish it out to the group so you guys can take a look at that. There was a question about if we submit graphics to the corporate office, how long will it take for those to be uploaded? And our answer is two working days from the date of submittal. So what that means is if you submit the graphics on Friday at 2 p.m., then Monday is the first business day and Tuesday is the second business day. So two working days. And the key to it is if the graphics meet brand standards and are approved, then it should all be very, very quick. It could happen within a couple of hours or something, but 2 working days would be the standard. And the graphics would certainly most likely meet the brand standards and be approved if they followed the graphics guidelines that are published in Fran Connect. And so that's that. The development timeline for this whole thing has been consistently noted to be 60 days. So if there's adoption and we go forward, then it's 60 days. And so that's the time that it requires for Buxton to do their study of databases and create the lookalike customers within your markets. And during that time, we would be developing the suite of graphics for Facebook and Google and et cetera, et cetera. And so we're happy to publish out a list or an inventory of what that would encompass. And certainly we'll do that if we sense or see that we're getting closer to adoption. And so those are all of the sort of key factors, I guess, at this moment in time related to LSMX. And I guess I would just sort of finish with a little bit of where I started. And that's if you feel like you've got marketing whooped, especially in the digital area, and everything's working and firing on all cylinders, then you may not need this, and that'd be okay with us. The whole thing's okay one way or the other, and we don't have any stake in this. We certainly see that there are stores that may be floundering a bit or might need to have a bit more either sophistication or a better sort of ease of use kind of a tool to make it more convenient and efficient for them to deploy their marketing dollars and invest more of those dollars directly into things that will or could produce a result. And so those are all things that are probably important for you to be considering. And so happy to answer any questions at this point.
I've got one comment. This is Jerry. Not about what you said, but I just saw on Fran Connect, Jay Miller said him and some others are logged in, but it says waiting for Andy to start the meeting. So,
yeah, we got on, Jerry. This is Jay.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, great. If anybody has any other questions or what have you, then feel free to fire now or email me.
I might have missed the start. How did the test go with Colorado?
Oh yeah, thanks, Jay. we don't know yet, and that's one of the things that we'll be digging into as the week goes on. But those pieces are still in play, and will be the advertising, if you will be in play through November 6th. So they've been out there circulating for just a few days, and I don't know personally what's involved in retrieving results or data or metrics or what that even entails or looks like. So we're talking with those guys about that over the next few days to see what we can learn from it. And so that's the answer there. I do know that while I was in Colorado, there were a couple people that actually showed me their phone, and it drove them in. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Jamie, can I chime in a little bit? Yeah, I would say with what we saw even prior to Jamie getting in there, because it started early, we probably had about 30 new customers that we have never seen before come in with their phones and showing us the ads from their phones. So it was reaching a market that was untapped for us. So hopefully that answers the question. So it is working, but it's a slow process.
Thank you.
Could screenshot and send us or on Fran Connect what the ads look like?
Yeah, I can. I do have those emails, so I could definitely send you guys on Fran Connect the screenshots what it looked like.
That's great. Thanks.
And
So I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, let me just inject this one comment quickly, Lee, and then you can ask your question. I just wanted to, because Jay, you might have come on late and some others might have come on a little late, but one of the things that's important to note about Colorado is because we were able to set up a bit of this kind of test run idea with Colorado to support, the recent event that they had. And those results will be representative of a non-specific lookalike customer. In other words, it's sort of a best guess because an intensive study of their customer list was not performed in identifying potentials within their market area. So anybody who's getting that ad and coming in would have been a more generic kind of a guess rather than that more pinpointed sort of consumer that the study of the customer list attempts to acquire. So I think that any results that we get from this are probably fairly positive for that reason. So go ahead, Lee.
Well, then I have two questions. So there is Facebook Business that does have lookalike audiences, and that is a program available on Facebook pages. So I personally haven't seen it. I started looking into it when I personally haven't done it, I should say. I have started looking into it after we had these discussions. So I don't know if those are similar, and obviously they would be doing some review on our customers, et cetera. But looking at the price and I don't know what you paid in Colorado for the services that you got with initial opening, but I'd like to know, how much, if it's bringing in people and we don't know the results yet, but what was the return on investment with that? And with the cost that it's going to be with the program, is that the same type of return on investment that we are going to see? So, I mean, I'm assuming you didn't have to pay, I don't know, $2,500. Maybe you did. I don't know. But for a one-time thing like that, it would be good to know.
Yeah, Mike, we forgot to tell you about that $2,500. Sorry, but no, we're kidding. Yeah, no, there was no upfront fee. It was just we were fortunate enough to have LSMX and Buxton work with us on that to help. And so all of the dollars that were invested were strictly in the advertising. And so in terms of an ROI, that's about as gray as everything else with advertising. I mean, we can look at what Mike and Sue's sales are over the next 2 to 3 weeks or something and try to extrapolate that, but there's not going to be a direct ability to pinpoint exactly what the ROI is. But what I can tell you is that there was no additional fee that was paid. It was all simply the advertising that was selected. And I think we chose 3 buckets or something, all digital. We didn't do a postcard. There was email that was done, but not through the system. We did a separate stand apart email to their list that we, the corporate office, assisted Mike and Sue with. So we didn't do email through LSMX. So we'll try to identify ROI to the absolute best extent possible, but that's always a tricky thing in marketing and advertising. I think everybody understands that.
Understood. But I guess my point is there is a possibility for all of us, if we wanted to go into the LSMX system and try it. Because when he was showing us, there was a login. We just couldn't get as detailed, correct?
Yeah, I am not sure about that, Lee. But if so, absolutely. I mean, if that is a possibility, then sure. That's not how it was presented to me. And I've worked everything directly through Nolan. And as Mike and Sue had this sales event and opportunity come up, we just started talking with Nolan about how we could put something together. And then back to the lookalike thing, I think what Nolan would say is that not all lookalikes look alike, and that it's all a matter of sort of how deep and rich the data is in defining your customer, and so the results and the ROI will specifically kind of be driven by how good that potential customer is. So that's really a kind of a big crux of the matter. And so if you sort of believe in their data that they've been and how sophisticated and rich it is, because of the fact that they buy all these Visa credit cards and all that other stuff, then you're probably going to feel stronger about LSMX. But if you think that's all just sort of a bunch of hogwash and we can get lookalike from anybody, and one lookalike is the same as the other lookalike, well then, yeah, it's probably you're less motivated by LSMX. And that's not a question that, I can really answer. Probably nobody can with any kind of accuracy.
Okay. Well, and maybe I'm crazy, but I remember when we were going through it, it was asking questions as he was trying to build it and show it to us. And he's like, well, but I wouldn't have all, we wouldn't have your whole, all of your best customer list in here. We would just be doing kind of this generic thing, but he was building it and able to put in interest, et cetera. And so, I am one that I question it. So it's new and not all tried and true. So to me, that might be something that might be a good thing to see if it indeed is really bringing in new customers, because we don't know. So.
Well, I think then, probably the thing to do is just hang tight. And there's no deadline or urgency that it's all going to melt and go away if it's not deployed in the next week or 2 weeks or a month.
But
so
I
we
think
can hang.
There are people that want to do it now, and I understand that they have that sense of urgency and that need. So there is some sense of urgency, I think, from owners.
Yeah. Well, so to help me help you guys, what, aside from referrals, what is it that you'd like me to ask Nolan next or push for or dig into that we can do to help move it along.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. Because how many owners want to do it now that are not on the fence? Is everybody on the call okay doing it, or am I the only one?
Lee, this is Ian. We're still on the fence too. I'm not sold on it yet.
Yeah, we're on the fence too. I just want to see I'd like to hear references, and then I need more information on how graphics are going to work.
And this is Ken. I'm not on the fence. I'm all for it, because for a marketing delivery tool that can do way more than what I personally could do now, this is huge. Looking at it, for me to get this kind of attention, not have to hire someone specially to walk around to the people I can't reach, knock on their door and hold their hand to our store. And so it's way cheaper than that. So I think I could get a lot more people in that I've been missing on my traditional marketing means. For actual graphics and stuff like that, I don't think it's an issue. I think it's a completely different discussion. This is just a delivery tool. So yeah, I'm all in for it.
This is Don. Do we have an idea of how LSMX actually targets new prospective customers? What does it grab from our system, and how does it analyze that to decide who they target?
Well, so what they do is they take your customer list. They would take all of the customer lists from all of the participating stores, and they would do a study of those humans. And they can do that because they have all this sophisticated data from buying list information from Visa and MasterCard, and their 30 years or 50, 40 years or whatever it has been in terms of acquiring data. They spend millions of dollars, so say them, to acquire customer data. So they would basically take our humans and look at their information and then create lookalikes within your market area, lookalike customers that are not currently on your list. And those would be the humans that would directly get the advertising that would go through the system.
Mm-hmm.
So and anybody else jump in and help me. That's as best as my non-technology brain can understand it. That's my understanding of how it works. And so, you know, you could go buy for example, Don, you could go buy email lists of 5,000 people that were within 10 miles of your store. But if 4,000 of them were people that would never, even with the gun to their head, think about buying a pair of running shoes, then, well, you've wasted 4,000 leads, because we don't care about those 4,000 people. We only care about the people that would have some sort of probability or likelihood of walking into an Endurance House store. So, you know, he described it like from a shotgun to a sniper rifle, you know, so it's very targeted kind of refinement of who you're talking to, and then it's dropping an ad directly onto their digital device. So there's a much higher probability that they'll actually convert or come into your store, convert on whatever offer it is, what have you. So, okay. And as far as the graphics, yeah, go ahead.
So they will, through their magic of computers, determine the demographics, because there's limited demographics that we don't capture. So they must somehow figure out who each person is and search for their demographics and then create a lookalike demographics database.
More or less, yeah. But it's richer than that because, you know, they're looking at actual spend habits. So somebody that, you know, has spent X amount of dollars on this or that is more likely to also be a customer that's like our customers. So it's more than just demographic. Like demographics more like 30 to 45 years old. That's more of a broad demographic. This is more targeted into actual, you know, they spend this much at Costco, they spend this much on whatever, they participate in events, you know, all that kind of junk would be pushed through their Wizard of Oz machine to come up with, you know, the lookalike database.
Okay, makes sense. So a suggestion, you're asking for suggestions before, maybe Nolan or LSNX in general can set up some kind of a demo system where we could actually see some fictitious, if you will, results of what they might find with a handful of actual clients or customers.
Well, that's what was done for Colorado. So,
okay.
I mean, there was an actual deployment with actual marketing, and actual humans have reacted to it and come into the Colorado store, and all that's in process. And, you know, we'll share out as specific a results as we can once that's all completed. I mean, just to be clear, I mean, we just did this. I mean, the event happened on Saturday. Today's Tuesday, right? So, I mean, it's all very fresh and still happening. Those ads are still out there circulating and will be through, I think, November 6th. So we will share everything that we can share related to that test case that, again, was sort of a dummy test case because it wasn't, again, the very refined customer search. It was just sort of a best guess based on what Endurance House customer might look like, but not based off of actual Endurance House customers from our databases.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Good.
So, you know, it's just I'm your tool. So you just point me which way you want me to go, and and tell me to go there, and I'll go there. You know, I got Nolan out there. I've talked to him lots of times. I'm definitely beating him up for the referrals, and you know, so I'm happy to blow Nolan's phone up. I just, you know, at this point, I'm just not sure what else I need to be asking him for. You know, and as far as the inventory of graphics and what that all looks like and so forth, we will send out what Nolan sent to us a couple days that early on, so that might have got missed by some of you.
Okay, so I have a call actually scheduled with Nolan for Thursday morning. Is that okay with you, Jamie?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear it. Okay, well, if there's no other comments on, then, you know, we'll let you guys kind of talk amongst yourselves or whatever, and we'll just kind of hang back and wait to see how it develops. As we can gather information about Colorado that's that we can share, we will, and, you know, we're standing at the ready to do what it is. It seems to be what the group is wanting.
Great, thank you.
Andy, you want to proceed?
So thanks, Jamie. So we'll finish up here with graphic standards, and then we're going to open up to owners in regards to kind of things that are going on there for the owners roundup. So for, like LSMX and some of the other initiatives have, is really, the goal here at headquarters is really to help you succeed. Part of that is protecting the brand, and that's why the graphic standards are in place. And so, not to call anyone out in the carpet, but so here's an ad that went out. Some of you might not like it. Some of you might think, meh, and some of you might, really see this. But the key here is it's not up to graphic standards, okay? And what we want to try to do, there is a process, and just make sure that we are following the process and also hold ourselves accountable at headquarters. So part of that is that we are going to, as part of the monthly report, we will go back 90 days and audit ourselves in regards to the turnaround for work order approvals, and we'll have that as kind of a line item in the monthly report. So we will report back to you in regards to our turnaround on those things, and like I said, hold ourselves accountable. A component of that is also holding you accountable in regards to understanding the process, and it's 7 business days from submittal. And this is a component where planning comes into play, and we have to look ahead, what we're going to need and when we're going to need it, and get those things submitted. In regards to art approval, it's 2 business days, and that's as long as things have followed the graphic standards. So if you have gone outside, and you're welcome to do that, to do some art, and you put something together yourself, totally fine, with headquarters, as long as it follows the graphic standards. And where I think there comes frustration and problems on both sides is when that does not meet graphic standards, and it's sent in for approval. It may take a day, 2 days to get back to, and you find out it doesn't meet the standards. And so what we're looking for is to make sure we kind of open up communication from headquarters, and also have an understanding from owners in regards to what's expected from you as a franchise owner, and playing your part in regards to protecting the brand.
So Andy, will you bring that back up and show and just point out what isn't in compliance with that graphic, please?
I don't know if Tara is not on the call, but I can't do it line item for line item. I can just tell you that it's not.
Well, can you give us a couple? I mean, surely can you give us a couple examples? Just, I'm not saying every detail, but can you just point out a couple of things?
The color schemes would be one. The graphic up here starting to interfere with the e-house, the e-logo. So, I'll have Tara do. She's not on the call, but what I can have Tara do is I'll use this as an example, or she'll maybe send out some other examples, and she can send out like these were the errors made here, and this was the reason why they got rejected. And whether that helps you steer your future designs, or but again, what we want to do is stick to that graphic standard and follow them. And I'll have her do a bullet point on each example, and then you can have a better idea what's going down. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's worth pointing out that in the graphic standards guidelines, it's always healthy to do more examples and specific examples. There are examples within the graphics guidelines of improper usages and proper usages and how to define those differences. And so it's helpful to look at that guidelines book to start to identify, oh, okay, I see. When this is crowded, it's something that would be problematic, etc.
So I do have
sorry.
in regards to these graphics. So, and I appreciate all that Tara has done in regards to graphic turnaround. I think part of my problem with the graphic turnaround is that she actually makes the timeline, but then if there's something wrong with it or there's questions, there's a huge delay with that. So something that I submitted 3 weeks ago, I still don't have. And I have to follow up on it and I have to keep on it. And I can appreciate that because we all get busy. But when I'm trying to plan, and get ahead of things, it's very difficult if we don't get a good a response after it's already done. So if there's something that we want to change, or if it's not quite right, or if it doesn't say it, or she needs to update it, those have to get done as well.
So Lee, let me ask you a question. So what you're describing, because I want to understand this fully and completely. What you're describing is I've sent in a work order, and yep. she's produced it and turned it around within the time frame. So that was all good. But then I looked at it and I noticed, decide I want to change something. And maybe I didn't know that I wanted that at the time, or maybe it's just not quite the way I wanted it or whatever, or I want to change the offer, whatever it is. And so now there's a need to revise it, even though it sort of met what was originally submitted. For whatever reason, we want to revise it further. And now that's where the problem begins. Would that be a correct assessment of what you're describing?
Sort of, yes. That has happened. Or if there's questions, like, is this what you had in mind? Yes, this is what I have in mind. Here's the information that you're requesting. Like, she'll have a question, so I've got to get that back to her, and I have to do that in a timely manner. But I did. But then, she maybe, I don't know. And again, I haven't talked to her about that, so I don't want to, all I'm saying is it's now taken something that I should have had, I asked for it 10 days in advance. I now don't have it in 21 days. So that's where it's tough because, we all are busy. So for me to follow up and be like, okay, I need it, is hard. It's hard. And I understand she needs stuff from us, but I do try and turn that around. And sometimes it's like a word misspelled, and she can get that, and she does that really quickly. But I don't know how to take that off of her, whether or not it's something we can change, or, I'm not a graphic artist, but I certainly understand wanting to, I wish I was, and I wish I could get that stuff done easily and quickly because, there's times where we need that quick. And so now I don't have that team stuff that I wanted because I've been waiting. So now I'm just rolling with old stuff.
One of my questions is, did you file a new work order, or are you just now kind of in email land trying to finish off a work order that there were questions about that needed to be resolved?
Yeah. So an email starts the conversation of, okay, is this okay, or do you want this, or questions goes out via email, not via a work order.
Yeah, and that's where I can tell you for certain that it goes off the rails, because when you have 15 owners and then other partners and players involved, there's an inordinate amount of emails going around, and it's impossible to track and maintain and keep track of projects when it's all these emails. And so this is not a malice associated with it. It's just a sort of reality. And so
Right.
the work order keeps it organized in a way and sets standards, and it sets a time clock, and it sort of produces a better result. And it's also what we can track. So I think my first statement about what you're describing would be that any additional changes or revisions or questions or whatever it is, it's hard to kind of understand exactly what the specifics are of each situation, not knowing them. But in general, I can say that submitting another work order is probably the safest way to ensure that it stays on a track and stays on a timetable that's going to get met, or is at least more predictable. And then
Jamie?
the other.
Confusing.
Go ahead.
Jamie,
If you are getting another work order regarding the same thing, is there a way that you can actually update just the initial work order so it keeps going until it gets closed out?
Hey, Lee and Jamie, I worked with design in my previous job for a long time, and we just had another change order. So that way you could track it to the original work order. And like Lee, I've had the same case where we submitted a work order and a telephone number or address had been transposed and it was wrong. We asked for it to be changed, and it just takes too long. And that's my big concern with the LSMX on the graphics, is if we've got to funnel everything through Terra, then it's just going to get bogged down. And especially with social media on how quickly you need it changes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and I appreciate it. You know, I like the change order idea. And Lee, what you said, is there a way to sort of retain it within the original work order? And those are healthy, sort of productive comments that we can look at. The answer is I don't know, but at least we can look at that, because what you're identifying is an issue, and so let's try to put effort and resources against that to improve upon it. I'll also say that this isn't a human being issue. This is not a Tara Osborne issue. This is a process flow issue, and everyone needs to be a team on that process. So we will work together to produce better and better results. And that's the only way that that will happen. So what I think, we'll take off of this call that's very healthy and productive is to look at some sort of methodology change that includes change order or a tracking or a flow from start to finish that helps us better deliver what is a free service that we are providing for our franchisees.
Hey, Jamie, is there any way, instead of waiting 7 days, when there might be a question on a work order, that the franchise reviews the work order within 3 business days? If there's additional information, rather than waiting till the last hour and saying, well, I need more information and I can't deliver within 7 days, is there a way that you can review it, need information, or if there are questions, fire those off?
Yeah, and I think absolutely, Jay, and I think that certainly happens organically a lot. I mean, and I don't know, Lee, maybe attest to this. I mean, there's many times when like something might come in and the same day or the next day the question is asked, and then a confirmation achieved, and then an outcome achieved, and a work order closed, and we move on to the next. So there are those success stories, but I think what you're saying is you don't want to have 7 days and then a question and then another 7 days to get the thing completed, that's appreciated. And so that's another thing that we can discuss internally, and our attempt to figure out ways to improve upon that part of it. For sure.
Thanks, Jamie. So I think that all of us, and part of it might be just reviewing the graphic standards, but adhering to the process. And I can tell you that on our end, we are going to hold ourselves accountable. What we can't have is kind of, I can't measure, on our end, I can't measure if you don't follow the process. And then everyone, then there's frustration on all ends in regards to, you've kind of gone renegade robot. You're not following graphic standards, and then the brand is being damaged. But then on the other hand, we don't see, that our turnarounds, what our turnarounds are, because that owners are circumventing the process. And we'll look at the turnaround in regards to percentage turnaround within the standards. But then I think we're going to look at things that we turn early, and demonstrate that a lot of a majority of the things are turned over in a very timely manner. So please follow the process. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely send them on to me. And then we'll take a look at how the report is going to look on the next monthly report, and then we can kind of shape it from there. Now's my time to turn it over to you guys. Just kind of, I think Ken and maybe Doug had some to bring up RYP and Black Friday, but this is your time now, and kind of open forum.
I've got a question on e-com.
Okay.
What's the turnaround from the franchise on responding to the e-com requests?
So kind of, I'm not saying we're taking it down to the studs in regards to overhauling it, but right now, currently, we're kind of on a pause in regards to looking how things were handled internally, but also talking with the programmers, and there is progress being made on that. And I think as that goes forward, we will update you. I think part of that.
Yeah, mine was specifically on something that was sold, and our manager and Fishers reached out to Tara on the 26th, and we just heard back this morning, and we've already fulfilled everything. I'm just wondering why it's taking 5 business days on a e-com response, especially when a manager has a question. The franchise needs to be more responsive.
Kenny, can you give us your talking out of me what the circumstances of what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I think it was a shoe order and 2 Body Glide. The inventory was not correct. We carry Blue Rub. We reached out to say, was Blue Rub okay? On the 26th at 9:57, Justin actually sent a note. We recently received an online order, and we got 0 response to that until this morning, a little bit ago.
Okay, well, we'll look at that. That's Thank you for pointing it out.
Okay.
So I have a question regarding Black Friday. I know on one of the ads was going to be one of the promotions that was presented at conference was about the 2XU calf sleeves. When are those going to be shipped to the stores?
Have a date. The process 2XU. And so I'll
Jamie,
put
you're
it in
cutting
my
out.
notes.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out, Jamie.
How's this?
Better.
Check with 2XU and see what their anticipated delivery date is. And back with
I still can't understand
Yeah.
you.
I can't hear him either. Jamie, do you have some earbuds or? All right. I don't know if he's pinged off. While we're waiting for that answer, do we have any other? Does anyone want to update on their RYP meetings or their teams? Oh. Oh, shit.
So I guess I have another question that's not related to the teams or anything. Do we have an actual address for what is now our corporate office? The website, I think, still lists something in Wisconsin, but is there an actual like physical address that for the corporate office in Austin?
I can't answer that question. I am receiving the mail at the Wisconsin address. So anything there, I'm handling. If you wanted to send it to Jamie, let's see here. I think. I think because our conference call, maybe I've set it from 12 to 1 or 11 to 1, that maybe that's the problem with the issues. Is everyone still on the call? Ken, Jerry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, so let's do this. Okay. Address, the 2XU. Anything else?
Is there a new logo that has the Endurance House icon and then swim, bike, run?
Okay.
That's a question. I didn't know if.
I do not think so. Not to my knowledge. But a little, maybe a little above my pay grade. But I will follow up with you, Jay. So let's do this. I'm going to take these items down, and then I'll publish them along with the recording of the conference call, and we'll follow up on some of these questions. Any others? Okay. How was did everyone have their meetings for RYP, or how were they successful? How was the turnout?
We had a meeting. We have another one happening on the 11th. And we had about 15 people there. New people. I think we only had one alumni there. So that was good to see. And our next one on Saturday, we have a chili cook-off right afterwards. So we're expecting that one to be bigger. But I think people are excited about it. And we are implementing the studio similar to Oceanside. So I think that there's a lot of value added to the team this year. But so far, so good.
Nice. And had you been thinking about the studio for a while and in talks with Oceanside, or was this just on its own?
Well, we've always had some sort of classes, like winter classes, whether it be strength training. We always have a cycling class on Wednesdays that takes over our Wednesday ride after it gets dark. So we already had that in mind, but after talking to Matt, it was, kind of brought some ideas together. So I'm excited about pushing that. We're going to, I don't know if, we're going to have our smart trainers hooked up there so people can use it. Anybody on our team can use it for free. If they're not on our team, if they're in our club, they have to, they can rent it. And we'll have workouts of the week, not a WOD, but a WOW. And they can come in and use it. And we'll have friendly competitions with that. So we'll do a brick workout. And we've got some trigger point. Jay, I met John from Blue Rub. He's got some cool products to use that he's been talking about. So I met him today, and we're going to bring some of those in so we can do trigger point, sort of like foam rolling classes. We're not going to call them classes; we'll call them sessions. So I'm excited about it, and I think it'll bring people in, which is obviously what we need. So it's good. I'll let you know how it works.
All right. Are the RYP people, are they Ironman? Are they a mix, or is it a lot of half Olympic?
Right now, they're half and fulls.
Okay.
But we'll get another one. She's doing her first Olympic. And then, so we'll get a mixture of them. I think a lot of people, especially people that are newer, aren't thinking that they should be like start training in October, November. So we normally, like in the past, have had more kind of newer people starting in January. So.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right, great. I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate the call, and you will hear back from us on the follow-up. And again, always feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. And again, goal is to try to see you guys improve. So let me know what we can do to do that. Have a great day and happy Halloween. Be safe.
You will.